Go.
Alright, first off, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Ba'Shem, Yahushai, Ba'Shem, Rakakadash, the blood of the apostles and elders of Great Millstone, who have taught us this truth and who continue to teach us and lead us through the Holy Spirit, Baharakakadash. Alright, peace and blessings also upon the fellow laborers in the vineyard, working for that penny a day, alright, and also on the elect, the remnant, the 1/3, the large multitude, the men, women, and children whom the Lord has foreordained to receive mercy and to be delivered from the end times, right? So we're going to start off by looking at one of the major prophecies, which is famine, right? For the past few years actually, but in more frequency the past few months, especially with this pandemic, right? Food crisis articles or food crisis warnings, right, have been given out in more and more frequency, right? They're also blaming it on the pandemic as well. There's shortages of transports, whether truck or shipping vessels, or other laborers that have to do with the food supply chain, right? And all these things culminate into one thing, a man-made or engineered famine, right? Which at the end of the day, everything is prophesied in the scriptures, right? Famine is going to be one of the major players, that take people out in these last days, before the missiles are shut off. Right? If you have a precept, we can start, brother.
The second Ezra chapter 15 and verse 5. Behold, saith the Lord, I will bring plagues upon the world, the sword, famine, death, and destruction.
Right, so the key takeaway is the Lord will bring plagues upon the earth. Right? Not man, not Jeff Bezos or any other person that they think they're in charge of the earth right now. The scripture said the Lord will bring plagues, and one of those plagues is famine, right? There's an article more on getting out here. You finish that verse, brother? Alright, there's an article more on getting out. There are a bunch of other articles, but we're going to start with this one. So this is from the Forbes magazine, and it was posted today, right, this morning actually, and the title is Running Out, Can Fast Food Favorites Beat Supply Shortages? Right? Fast food companies are facing increased pressure due to shortage of key supplies. McDonald's pulled milkshakes for several weeks this summer from its 1,250 stores in the UK because a shortage of truck drivers meant that fast food giant couldn't get the ingredients. McDonald's also struggled to supply bottled beverages. Taco Bell told customers this summer that it was out of key ingredients including chicken and beef, which took some of the chain's most popular items off the menu. Starbucks also has been hit hard. An internal memo this summer said up to 25 products could be pulled from retail shelves due to supply chain issues affecting chai tea bags, toffee nut syrup, green iced tea, hazelnut syrup, and even some food products. We are experiencing temporary, which I believe is temporary, isn't it? Supply shortages of some of our products in the US. Starbucks spokesperson Nicholas Sampogna said specific items vary by market and store, and some stores will experience outages of various items at the same time. These supply chains disruptions are industry-wide, and Starbucks is not immune. Right? So this is just a few examples, right? But a lot of major food chains, right, are experiencing shortages of key ingredients, right? And because of that, the menu often get chopped in half or chopped in third or whatever. But it just means that you, like for example, the McDonald's in the UK, you drive up to McDonald's, you want a milkshake, you can't get a milkshake, right? Because the food not available, right? And that's just the beginning, that's just the tip of the iceberg. You see me? You have whatever, let's bring on the precept before we continue.
This is Ezekiel 5 verse 15. It says, so it shall be a reproach and a taunt, an instruction and an astonishment unto the nations that are round about thee, when I shall execute judgments in thee, in the anger and in the fury and in the furious rebukes. I, Yahweh, have spoken it. When I shall send upon them the evil arrows of famine,
right,
which shall be for their destruction, and I will send to destroy you, and I will increase the famine upon you, and will break your staff of bread. So I will send upon you famine and evil beasts, and they shall bereave thee, and pestilence and blood shall pass through thee, and I will bring the sword upon thee, I, Yahweh, have spoken it.
Right. The Lord is the one that's bringing all of this up. If we look at certain news reports in UK, well, all over Europe, US, you see me? Food and some organization, FAO. They have one office right down the road. Right? You have a lot of supermarkets that have empty shelves here. You see me? Because there's not enough supplies. You see me? You have ships, you see me, off the coast of the US can't come in. You see me? Because workers are being fired, you see me, over this pandemic. Right? It's the C-19. Right? So this is further worsening, you see me, a crisis that was brewing for years. You see me? This is another article from Grown News. It said a tragedy of errors heading for a food crisis. Right? It said a food shortage. Today is actually World Food Day. Today, right? They say a food shortage brewing for several weeks, coupled with a stagnant economy and indecision, has pushed Sri Lanka to the brink of a crippling collapse. It is ironic that Sri Lanka, which was known as the granary of the East in ancient times, will go into history as a country that faced a food crisis. Right? So this is happening all over the world. You have natural factors as well as man-made factors. You see me? You have certain bizarre weather patterns that are affecting crops in certain producer countries. You see me? Wiping out crops. And then also you have infestation. You see me? Wiping out crops. And then of course, on top of that, you have the man-made issues, right? The pandemic issues, the laying off of workers issues, the supply chain issues. You see me? All these things are culminating in one thing. That's famine, right?
This is 2 Ezra 6 and verse 22. And suddenly shall his sown place appear unsown, and his full storehouses shall suddenly be found empty. And the trumpet shall give a sound, and when every man hear it, they shall suddenly be afraid. And at that time, friends shall fight one against another like enemies. Right? And the earth shall stand in fear with those that dwell therein. It says, spring of a fountain shall stand still, and in true oil shall not run.
Right. The member of parliament, which named Lisa Anna, she made a statement in a parliament several days back. She was speaking about the food supply chain issues that's affecting the global economy. Right? And she said that food prices are going to rise, continue to rise, as these problems continue. Right? But what she never get into is how fragile the Jamaican food economy is, and how the fact that 95% of what we consume come off of ships, that deliver goods to our shores, right? Whether they be raw goods or processed goods, right? The supermarkets have to be restocked, right, every few days, right? And we take for granted that we can go to the supermarket and the shelves will be filled and we can get what we need, right? But it's very easy for that very fragile economy, that very fragile supply chain to get disrupted, right? And we're witnessing symptoms of that now, right? All over the globe. But nobody's paying attention really and truly, right?
When I go to the supermarket now, like every other week, there's something in the supermarket you can't find.
Yeah.
So like this week you will not see as much bread. But next week you can find bread there. Like next week, you can't find the crackers. And you can't, like, it's on and off. Like the goods are not put to notice that.
And we already see how stupid people be when it comes to shortage of food, because when the first no movement days were announced in the summer, right? People rushed to the supermarket. It was just 3 days, 3 days you're gonna lock in your house, right? And people rushed to the supermarket, right? And the roads were filled with traffic. There was traffic going into and out of the supermarkets. The ATMs traffic, because everybody wants to go draw money so they can go to the supermarket. And that was just 3 days being locked in. Imagine if there was a public announcement that we will be having significant food shortages because the supply chains that we have, the global supply chains that feed our food economy, have stopped working. Chaos. You see me? And this is what the scriptures speak about. You see me? Brothers and neighbors, hating each other, fighting each other for the last morsel of meat. Cannibalism, you see me, which is what happened in every major famine in history. This not gonna be any different. Right? And all these things are prophesied to happen in the scriptures. So a lot of people pay attention to, everybody pay attention to the big C right now. You see me? The government is constantly pushing this vaccine, you see me, this medicine, saying that it's the only way out of this and rare, but nobody is paying attention, you see me, to what's being engineered underneath. You see me? And this is one of the main things. Go on, brother.
To bounce off the brother Aaron's precept. Ezekiel chapter 4 and verse 16. Moreover, he said unto me, Son of man, behold, I will break the staff of bread in Jerusalem, and they shall eat bread by weight and with care, and they shall drink water by measure and with astonishment.
You know what that means? That means rationing. You see me? Drinking and eating with care and by measure. That's rationing. Right? That happened in World War I and World War II. Right? And that's exactly what the government would do, you see me, if they recognize that, well, whenever they recognize that the world is in a food crisis.
When they not acknowledge it.
Right? When they acknowledge it publicly. Got them recognize it. And when they acknowledge it publicly, you see me, and let you people know, they're going to ration the foods. You see me?
And with that, you're going to need certain things to be able to access that food.
AKA the medicine. Right? AKA the
chip.
medicine.
And lead into the chip.
Leading to the chip, can. Right? So everything is being brewed right now to create the time of Jacob's trouble, yo. That time of difficulty, that straight gate. Right? And people don't really realize that all of them something here are closing on them, yo. Right? Everybody, in everybody's mind is that if we take the medicine, we will go back to normal. We will go back to what life was before March 2020. You see me? Everybody free to do them feel like, everybody got a party, got a church and whatnot, and we just all return to normal. You see me? There's a reason why the elites are pushing the Great Reset. You see me? There's a reason why all of a sudden now the NIDs get passed.
Right. Conveniently.
You see me? Conveniently.
But
In the middle of all this.
So you never let a good crisis go to win.
Exactly.
And the NIDs we are talking about when he said that.
You see me?
Yep.
There's a reason why now, in the midst of the pandemic going on, you see me? Jamaica has launched their CBDC.
Right.
You see me? And now, large businesses are being targeted, you see me, to start using them digital wallets. You see me? We need to have less cash in the economy. You see me? So, when all these things happen, when they create a digital economy, social life is digital, everything is digital, it's easy to limit the people that have access to that, yo. And ultimately the people that have access to food, you see me, and medication. You see me? And anything else you need to sustain life and sustain your family. You see me? It's going to be easy to shut that off. Right?
Scripture, to give an example where that happened in history.
Right? And the digital registration framework, what them say them are going to bring in for the vaccination program. That's going to link to your NIDs. Your medical record is going to link to that.
Them say they said when you do some more research, they must say the fourth industrial revolution, revolution, one of the main components of it is the Internet of Things.
Right.
Yeah. IoT, yeah.
Precept. So this is Genesis 47, and I'll start at verse 13. It says, and there was no bread in all the land, meaning in the land of Egypt, well, in the region, for the famine was very sore, so that the land of Egypt and all the land of Canaan fainted by reason of the famine. And Joseph gathered up all the money that was found in the land of Egypt and in the land of Canaan for the corn which they bought, and Joseph brought the money into Pharaoh's house. And when the money failed in the land of Egypt and in the land of Canaan, all the Egyptians came unto Joseph and said, give us bread, for why should we die in thy presence? For the money faileth. And Joseph said, give your cattle, and I will give you your cattle, and I will give you for your cattle if money fail. You know, and pretty much if you can read all that if you want, you know, you can guide me. But
Yeah,
pretty much this I show the breakdown. And they brought their cattle unto Joseph, and Joseph gave them bread in exchange for horses, and for flocks, and for the cattle of the herds, and for the asses, And he fed them with bread for all their cattle for that year. And when that year was ended, they came unto him the second year and said unto him, We will not hide it from my Lord, how that our money is spent. My Lord, as at our herds of cattle, there is not aught left in the sight of my land, of my Lord, but our bodies and our lands. Wherefore shall we die before thine eyes, both we and our land? Buy us and our land for bread, and we and our land will be servants unto Pharaoh, and give us seed that we may live and not die, that the land be not desolate.
And ultimately, what the elite would like is a situation like this, where you have limited resources, and in order for you to access the limited resources, you have to submit to the system. Because really and truly, that's what happened.
Yep. It's like him follow the same principle.
Yeah, it's the same principle.
Me have everything, you have to come to me.
Yeah, and that's what it's all about. You see me? The idea that if I control the food supply chain, if I control your access to money, you see me? If I control your access to Medicare, you see me? Your access to entertainment, you see me? Everything that you need to sustain yourself naturally and socially. If me control all of that, then you now have to be in submission to me in order to access that. So really and truly what the NIDS system is set up to be is a gateway, is a gate pass.
Digital.
You see me? A digital gate pass into the economy, into the social economy, or the economic something.
The fourth industrial
Right?
revolution.
So that NIDS is not. If you read it, it says it's going to be a multi-purpose card. You see me? Meaning, it's going to eliminate the need for your passport, your driver's license, your TRN. You see me? Your medical records. You see me? All these different things are going to be eliminated, and you're just going to have one card with your national identification number. And that card, as them say, is going to track you right through life.
Right.
You see me? That card will say whether or not you have received the job. Believe it or not, that's what it's going to come down to.
Yep.
You see me? If you have permission to partake in society, and ultimately that card, you see me, the ultimate agenda, which I'm not going to tell you this now, the ultimate agenda is to link that card, you see me, to your digital wallet. The idea is to create a digital economy, you see me? Not just the monetary economy, but the social economy. Everything is meant to be digitized. You see me? Eh?
You say it out in the one mode, paperless.
Yeah, paperless.
Yeah.
You see me? So if they can control your access to the money directly, because that's one of the biggest benefits of having a digital economy and a CBDC. You control people's access to money. Matter of fact, you see me? It has been shown that you can control what the money is used to pay for. You see me?
Right.
That's another thing. You can program the digital dollar to only be able to purchase certain things. And then there's a small jump from there to say that John Brown can pay for only these things with Theme Digital Wallet. Because him not agree with certain things I would say, or him not take the job yet, or him not take the chip yet.
Which is that social credit system like in China.
Just like in China. You see me? There are pieces we can bring it over.
Yeah, man, this is Revelation chapter 13 and verse 16. And he causeth all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads, and that no man might buy or sell save he that had the mark or the name of the beast or the number of his name.
Right, and we've been bringing this out for years, yo. Years upon years upon years. And the voices of the scoffers have gotten lower and lower and lower. You see me? Now you can hardly find them. Why? Because it's obvious now. You see me? The talk of CBDCs, you see me? The talk of people having microchips implanted to actually pay for things, not just for home, door and car and them thing there again. People actually have chips implanted to pay for things. You see me? Matter of fact, you have a video where brother send around. You see me? We show that you have chips now being implanted in people. We show them vaccination status.
Yes,
yo.
yes.
This is where the thing is going.
Hey, Andrew said recently, he say, yo, we need to find a way now to distinguish the vaccinated from the unvaccinated.
Yeah. And a card is not efficient. You see me? Because it's very easy for a healthcare worker, just take up a vial, you see me, of the potion, take a card, show her the vial, you see me, but use the information on the vial to just write up a card for somebody and give it to them. You see me? That's going around the system. You see me? Or nowadays you have people actually sell them. People actually sell card, vaccination card. You see me? $20,000, $5,000, whatever them feel like sell it for. So there has to be a system that is robust.
Yeah.
And this is one of the reasons why UK, you see me, never recognize the program that we have here, because there is no way to prove.
Effectively track and prove.
Yeah. The person where they go and she get that and then tell her she have a quarantine same way really because they don't recognize her status. She never even have the name of the potion what she get on her card. So them couldn't even verify. You see me? So the system we have here in Jamaica is a party shop thing. You see me? And the Prime Minister is trying his very best to upgrade. You see me? Because now them tell us say you're supposed to you have to mix them. You see me? If you get one, nothing wrong if you can get the other one. So if you get the AstraZeneca, you can get the Pfizer.
As long as you're getting shot over.
But there are two different technologies, because if you look at the AstraZeneca, it's DNA technology. And the Pfizer is RNA technology. You see me? The AstraZeneca uses an adenovirus, you see me, as the agent for deliver it to your system. And the Pfizer uses, you see me, lipid protein molecules to deliver it. Two different methods. But no, you can mix them. You see me? They tell you that for the Pfizer you're supposed to wait 21 days and then get the second one. But now the minister help because they can't get them more. Oh no, man, you can wait up to 12 weeks, man. It's not just 3 weeks. You can wait up to 12 weeks because they can't get them more. You see me? Them are wait for the richer countries them to give them. You see me? And people see them something here and it's like people don't realize that you're in a sense. You're walking around the country, touring the country. Everybody needs to get the joke. But you don't even have enough to give the people them. You see me? So these are little things that where people realize that it don't make sense. The whole system just don't make sense. And the narrative keep on a change. So them came for light.
Like when them talk is like everything what them talk about, every solution is a digital solution. And it's not just to Jamaica alone. Worldwide, that is all what it is.
There's a script. You see me, where all the world leaders, you see me, I speak by.
And then now the talk say the UN is a major shareholder in Jamaica, because them always say him say in a recent talk say we are trying to get this strive back economically, our economic interests. And when him say that, people now be in mind some talk about the Jamaican stakeholders or shareholders, right? A lot of people hear that in the news all the while say what the shareholders them have to say about this, right? And the information is there as to who the shareholders are, right?
The reality is that Jamaica, every country is a business, a corporation, and every corporation have shareholders, you see me, and board of governors, you see me, and first and foremost a corporation, especially if it's a public one, you see me, which every country is a public corporation, you have responsibilities to your shareholders to make them profits. That's why a business exists. You see me? So if Jamaica is not making money, is not profitable for its shareholders, they must pull out. So what I try to do is to make sure that the shareholders and investors in the country don't pull out. Because and him say it, him say if the health status of the country does not improve, the economic status will not improve. AKA if the international players see that we not take the joke enough, they might go pull business. You see me? And that him run from. I really and truly that's all they care about. People don't really care about the actual virus out there. Nobody don't care about that. The majority of people that's taking it are taking it because it's going to affect them livelihood if they don't take it. You see me? And it's the same reason why the Prime Minister is pushing us. So I'm not telling that. Alright? Bring out precept over there.
Alright, it's Psalms 10 verse 33. Said, for the wicked boasteth of his heart's desire, and blessed the covetous, whom the Lord abhorreth.
Right. If you listen to our brother name where I had the World Economic Forum, Klaus Schwab, him boast about him heart's desire. Him tell you, say this a come. Him tell you, say reach already. And him tell you, say I gonna love it. Him boast of his heart's desire. right? If you listen to Big Nose,
And you'll have it and you'll love it.
yeah, if you listen to Big Nose, him boast about what come and how him going to improve Jamaica and bring it onto the world stage. They boast of their heart's desire, yo, because in their mind, there's nothing that can stop them from accomplishing it. Because the propaganda what them have such a strong hold over people, shaping everybody's opinion and leading everybody like sheep. You see me? Well, the two-thirds, like sheep to an ultimate goal. That him so confident in the outcome. You see me? That he was proud. Right? Go on, brother.
It says the wicked, through the pride of his countenance, will not seek after the Most High.
Right? Because him pride blind him, right? Him not gonna ever think that the Heavenly Father gonna be a trump card to him whole plan, yo. Right? Go on.
So Yahweh is not in all his thoughts. His ways are always grievous. Thy judgments are far above out of his sight.
Right, so him not care about the laws of the Heavenly Father. Motherfucker him go out and wait to make sure so him break them and go contrary to them. Right? So the Lord is not in all his thoughts. And in his mind, no deliverance now gonna come. Him convince himself of that fact. Even though him know, same our short time and you know, there will be an end. Him kind of fool himself into believing that, you know what, me can accomplish this. And if I accomplish this, then, you know, him can beat the angels or beat the Lord when the Lord comes. Or maybe the Lord will cast off him people if him can get enough of them to, you know, sell out themselves to him. Go on, brother.
It says, as for all his enemies, he profited them. He had said in his heart, I shall not be moved,
Right.
for I shall never be in adversity. His mouth is full of cursing and deceit and fraud. Under his tongue is mischief and vanity. He sitteth in the lurking places of the villages. In the secret places doeth he murder the innocent. His eyes are privily set against the poor. He lieth in wait secretly as a lion in his den. He lieth in wait to catch the poor. He doeth catch the poor when he draweth him into his net.
And the whole passage, you see me, I explain stealth. You see me? And that is one of the so-called white man's best tools. You see me? Him need to be cunning, him need to be stealthy, you see me? And he need to have a gradual effect. You see me? Propaganda, one I quote that I find the other day, you see me, really good propaganda, you see me, is when the person thinks that them come up with the idea themselves. You see me? And a lot of people don't realize that the information we continually consume, you see me, from the media, whether it be social media or whether it be mainstream media, you see me, or from your politicians, you see me, or from the medical profession. All of the data, you see me, is presented in such a way to have you thinking along a particular pattern. The data is analyzed and cultivated in such a way to paint a particular picture. People don't realize that. You see me, the numbers are presented to show you that we're in a bad pandemic. You see me, people are dying every day. That's what the numbers are skewed to have you think. You see me? And then if you repeat that every day, over and over again, you see me, that the only way out is to get juiced up. That's the only way out. Eventually people are going to believe it. Even people who used to doubt it, you see me, if you hear it more and more, one day you're just going to believe it. And
juiced up and prove it.
Juice up and prove it. You see me? And if you're not really in the know, or the Lord don't give you that spirit, you're not going to realize that everything was planned by the enemy. You see me? The information that's coming in your house, that's coming on your phone, you see me, and surrounding you, lurking in the village place, as the precept said, all of this was planned, yo. Yeah, go on.
This is Daniel chapter 8 and verse 25.
Yo, start at verse 23.
This is Daniel chapter 8 verse 23. And in the latter time of their kingdom, when the transgressors are come to the full, a king of fierce countenance and understanding dark sentences shall stand up.
Right, and we know this is about Antiochus, right? But we can also relate it to this time. You see, because Esau is still, you see me, ruling, you see me, and he's a man of dark countenance, you see me, and he understands a lot of dark things, right? Go on.
And his power shall be mighty, but not by his own power. And he shall destroy wonderfully, and shall prosper and practice, and shall destroy the mighty and the holy people.
And which we destroyed, yo. Right? If we take a look at the state of our people right now, you see me, we destroyed. Scroll through social media, yeah, and we see it. You see me, metrosexual this, homosexual this, bisexual this, transsexual this. You see me? I saw this.
It's wrong to say transsexual now. It's transgender.
Oh, okay, cool. Transgender, alright.
And ultimately, my plan to do the full thing now by juice them up and him cheat them.
Yep.
You know, right? Basically, when basically a change over them from like a transhumanism,
Yeah.
no longer whatsoever them.
Because once you take that sauce, you see me, the DNA that or the RNA that's contained in them, you see me, is the property of the company where manufacture it. And that DNA or RNA now becomes a part of your genome. You see me? So ultimately part of you, right, belongs to them. You see me? And you're no longer human because something that is inhuman has been introduced into your genome.
It's like a chimera. And through his policy, also he shall cause craft to prosper in his hand, and he shall magnify himself in his heart, and by peace shall destroy many.
Yeah, him now come violently at you. You see me? Because and this is exactly why, you see me, Mr. Andrew Wellness is so esteemed, you see me, in the international community. Because him now approach this bluntly. You see me? Other Caribbean islands are doing that. And they have protests and uproars. Him knows him can't do that. So even recently, him say, yo, we're not going to force anybody to do anything. Him knows him have to tread lightly. So what him do? Him sell the benefits. You see me? If we do this, our children can go back to school.
Right.
If we do this, the parties can continue. Church can keep. Everything can go back to normal. You can go on your farm work and work and This is what he must sell to you. The benefits. Because him knows that if him come at it bluntly and him force you, people are going to resist. Matter of fact, him said that.
Fast benefit.
You see me? If you force somebody into a wall, them are gonna just go against you. You see me? Really appreciate that.
And by peace shall destroy many. He shall also stand up against the prince of princes, but he shall be broken without hand.
So how shall I basically come back to meet Esau, as a God? Say, I will not meet you as a man.
Right.
Because really, a God like status, the Apostle Kabardo over there
Oh, you want to go?
recently, when show say, what the ultimate power, it's pretty much after you get all of the money in the world, certain things don't really, tickle your fancy anymore.
Right.
The main thing right now is for you to have ultimate control over people. And pretty much this is what it's about. It's about conquest and control. People always, when they hear the word war and conquest, they always, picture it from a base level or carnal standpoint of soldiers on a battlefield, like actual soldiers with guns and knife and things like that. But you understand, say, warfare.
There's a war for your mind.
Yeah, warfare comes in many ways, shapes and forms.
And in every major war, there is propaganda. You see me? Every major war have propaganda. If you look at, if you research World War I, World War II, you see me? The news media was used as the main propaganda tool for every nation. Every nation have propaganda.
And even when them invade Afghanistan.
Yeah,
Al-Qaeda.
you use the media to demonize the enemy, and therefore you encourage your people to go ahead and fight that war.
When they move their name, broken, unbroken.
Yeah.
When them say, alright, here we go on, we'll carry God the news station, and you're going to say this.
Right.
And Mr. Man say, yo, me nah say that.
That's propaganda. That's how it is, yo. You see me? So people realize, people feel like, say, yo, the news is obligated to give you the facts, and that's it. Dry, objective, black and white facts. No. You see me? Every news station is owned, you see me, by a particular person or persons. And the news media, you see me, is a company. first and foremost, is an economic, profit-making company. You see me? And in order to keep making a profit, you see me, them need to do the bidding of whosoever, you see me, own them.
Yeah.
A journalist can't come up with a story and just run it so without the top of top them say, yo, here what, rate it.
That's
You
it.
see me? No. There's a particular agenda, there's a particular light where we need you to paint this thing in. You see me? And anything else outside of that is a big no-no.
I'm sure you that in so there's a thing, a CIA operation what they call Operation Mockingbird. Is in where them show you the media, the news media, you know, them control it and fund it, put whole heap of money in it.
Video news release them off.
Mm-hmm.
Then prepare one news and
Yeah.
then release it as a prepare, as in like nothing goes.
Yes.
Even movies. You know, look at the movies, them
Propaganda.
always what the good guy in a 80% of the movie them you watch.
US.
And the US CIA and the US soldier,
Yeah.
one US soldier will come back from war ready to save some people. So,
Oh, yes.
so one US soldier will go in one country for to save somebody will get kidnapped and risk him life.
And the only reason why we see that is because we're connected to Western media.
Right.
If you're over there in the East, Russia,
Yes,
the
it's
good
something
guys
different.
are going to be the Russians.
Right.
It's simply because that's the culture we are living in, that's the propaganda we are getting. Every nation have
Have their
propaganda
propaganda.
to make for them nation look good. That's it.
And then bring out dirt on each other.
You're right. So even RT, RT news is not objective. It is made to make the West look bad
Yep.
and make Russia look good.
Here you go.
And then it's the opposite on the Western side, make Russia look bad, make the West look good. You see me? So you have grains of truth in a both,
Yep.
but you have to remember that the propaganda is geared toward making one side look bad and one side look good.
This is Second Ezra, chapter 11, and you've done it, Dominic, so this will go for
What that go for? Alright, well, I'll continue with the Daniel.
This is Daniel chapter 8 and verse 26. And the vision of the evening.
Hold on, they say, oh, by policy shall destroy me.
One piece.
My peace.
No, they say by peace.
Shall destroy your name, you shall stand up against the
You know, say, oh, through his policy shall make craft upon
Yeah.
Yeah, read that.
first part.
Oh,
You want to go back over it?
yeah, read out the party.
This is Daniel chapter 8 verse 25. And through his policy also he shall cause craft to prosper in his hand.
Yeah, what kind of policies we say right now? And that's the big word right now, innit?
Policy.
Policy.
Yeah, them don't want to call it a mandate.
Yeah,
They want to
yeah.
call it a Maxine policy. So nicer.
So policies, the policy, when you look up the word policy, you say understanding, and you look up craft, basically going to what? Deceit.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Deceit, treachery.
treachery. Because really and truly, even with our Prime Minister, treachery.
Yep.
It's a treachery against the people.
Yeah, because I'm not saying now force nothing, but you will restrict you from life.
Pretty much,
You
yeah.
see me? Then bad man, yeah, use craft yourself.
Yeah.
You see me? Because you tell me say now mandate it out your own, but your actions
Right.
actually is a mandate.
Because really and truly, for regular people outside of the truth, if you tell them to choose between them livelihood and taking a joke, that is not a choice.
Right.
Because them have to feed them family. You see me? So that is not a choice, that is use force in the person. You see me? So when I try, you know what I do? I wait until, as him said, the threshold reach 50%. Because he want the majority of the country on film side first before him push everything down the throat and everybody else. So might do when if and when you reach the 50% mark, I say, alright, only the vaccinated can do this, only the vaccinated can do that. That's what I start do. That's the plan. You see me, I can't go to supermarket without it like over Australia.
And Germany as well.
You want it too?
I think France.
Yeah, France.
Yeah, France too.
You see, so it's to show that it's a worldwide agenda. You know, him say, oh, in order to beat this, we have to do what. Him say, look at what other countries are doing. You know, and it now when they do that, that him look like say, oh, individual countries are do things, but really, it's one umbrella because you have things like what the universal ID, right? Universal basic income. You know, the Agenda 2021. And the Sustainable Development Goals and the Vision 2030 goals, they need to be met, right? It might not seem like that get done,
But that is exactly
but
what
that is exactly what is being done.
I mean, tell us how that I get done, what that them I do.
Yep.
That's the thing, them not.
And them they do it under what the guise of health, and under the
Public
guise
safety.
of a pandemic. I say, look here, we not do this for we, you know. We are do this for you.
For the you and your granny and the
Yeah, protect us.
And get a quick research.
Well, let me forget the way he said.
Yeah, that good now. Go on. And then
This is Psalms 55, verse 21. The words of his mouth were smoother than butter, but war was in his heart.
And that's why, even to you, and Jonas, we can say you are of your father the devil. Just like what Yahweh Shai said, because it's the same method the so-called white man have been using for years.
People say you will lust of his father, you will do.
Yeah, the desire.
Exactly the same principle my follow the devil. I'm surprised. Yo, you more Jake, yo, you lucky.
So
like a either,
yeah, it really just like in the time of the Maccabees, you had Israelites who turned on their people,
I think one of the Jason, if I'm not mistaken.
and even the takedown of Jerusalem in 70 AD, still had our people, had them hands in that, them switch side.
It was a Jake who helped, I think, helped Titus.
Tiberius.
Alexander.
So it's
the Alexandrian Jew.
Hey, even